I'm the CEO and co-founder of Vendr. I'm based out of Boston, Massachusetts. Vendr's about roughly 5 years old now. We're a 400-person company, and we are helping companies buy software, but we're also learning quite a bit of what makes people buy products. And so to kick it off, I want to first tell you, like, Vendr is one of the largest buyers of software in the world. And I promise I'm not going to talk much about Vendr today. But we need to know kind of the anchor, like what are we anchoring on? We're anchoring on, in the past 5 years, we've purchased $3 billion of SaaS. So hopefully a lot of your products in this world, hopefully Vendr's been involved in those transactions. But we've also helped our customers save over $350 million on SaaS. What does that mean? Well, it means that SaaS is negotiable. So we've been able to reduce the price of software. And that's happened across over 21,000 transactions in the past 5 years. Not here to talk about that. Instead, what we're going to do, we're going to take those 21,000 transactions and we're going to actually glean, like, what can we learn from those transactions to help every single one of you in this room learn how to sell better, like literally starting today. All of this data is like real time, it's focused on Q1 data. All right, to anchor the conversation, I fundamentally believe that sales is broken. And I'm going to tell you why I'm qualified to make that statement in a moment. But deep in my heart, I believe sales is broken. And it all starts with this. Like, there's a pandemic of mistrust in sales. You know, Derek was asking, like, who here wants sales? We couldn't even raise our hand because, like, I don't want to be associated with sales. Ooh, that's dirty. That's not fun. People don't trust salespeople. Only 3% of people find salespeople to be trustworthy. So we're starting from mistrust, even though in order for us to grow our businesses, we're going to have to sell something. And in order for us to grow our businesses, we're probably going to have to buy something. We're going to have to buy a lot of SaaS, which means we are going to, by default, be talking to salespeople. All right, here's the part that I think might lead to that mistrust. Salespeople sometimes, occasionally, maybe all the time, just make up the price, right? How many times have you heard, well, if you sign by midnight, then I will bring down the price by 20%, and then you were like sleeping, so you missed it, and so the next morning you're like, oh, hey, sorry, salesperson, my bad, I fell asleep. They're like, oh, no worries, you can still get that price today, right? But here's the deal. I know this because I'm one of those people. I spent the majority of my career pre-Vendr as a software salesperson. Before that, I was a public accountant. I was like, I'm a really bad accountant, so why don't I just go try sales? And what I did is I ended up selling for some of the best companies in the world. And at those companies, those software companies, I was given the power. I was given the power to determine the price that my customers or my prospects paid for these products. And I sold at some of the biggest software companies in the world too, and we were doing those practices. So what did I learn? I learned that it's incredibly hard to sell great products. And I keep coming back to this. Does price have anything to do with it? The fact that me as a salesperson gets to make it up, is that actually causing more friction in the process between me and my buyers? And when I say it's hard to sell great products, what I mean is let's look at the data. The average close rate in SaaS is like 20 to 30%. And what that means is how many percentages of the people or the time you're talking to someone is it a non-buyer? The vast majority of the time when we're selling, we're talking to people that are not going to buy our product in that given period. 80% of the time. This has very real impact on our businesses. Because in order to grow, what do we have to do? Well, we've got to hire more BDRs, we've got to hire more marketers, we've got to consider doing more digital ads, hire more AEs, and we keep filling up this bucket of sales and marketing. That's the expense, which is now one of the #1 cost centers for most companies. Meanwhile, in order to actually build the best products, we should just be funneling that cash into research and development. But we're not able to. Why? Because sales is broken. How we distribute our products is fundamentally broken. I run a 400-person company. If you ask me, do I want to keep plowing all this cash into sales and marketing? No way. I'm going to go hire amazing product people, designers, data. That's actually how we would win if we were able to distribute our products in a different way. All right, now we're going to go deep on the data. So where is sales headed? This is Vendr's perspective based on the transactions we're seeing from our customers. The first is the AI buzzword, right? It's everyone is building products for AI. Well, I wanted to actually uncover what is going to happen as more and more companies build AI products. And my best guess is it's going to lead to more proliferation. There's going to be more selection, more confusion because there's more potential products. So how many are there? Well, already there's over 13,000 AI products for B2B buyers. So if you're a B2B buyer, that means you're getting emails from 13,000 more companies. And how many salespeople do they have? Right? We're talking tens and tens of thousands of people creating more noise. Well, the good news is, for those who are focused on AI, is that 51% of the Q1 transactions on Vendr were for AI-related products. So the customers are actually keeping the wallets open. It's a tough economic climate right now, but we're actually seeing quite a bit of spend go in that direction. Positive sign. But number two, we're seeing that sales cycles are extending. And there's a few reasons for it. Has anyone met their new decision maker? Her name is the CFO, and she's getting involved in every single one of your deals. The CFO is now obviously scrutinizing spend because we've got inflation up, so costs are higher. So what do we do about it? Well, we have to spend less. How do we control spend? Take it to the top. So across our entire customer base, for the most part, we're witnessing that the CFO is actually getting involved in the transaction. It's real. Second thing we're observing, platforms versus point solutions. This one shocked me. So a couple years ago, nice to have products, point solutions, things that do something very specific. Times were good. People were buying that stuff. But guess what? It's not happening anymore. In Q1, the top 10 net new purchases on Vendr, guess how many of them were platforms versus point solution? 100%. So what does that mean? What we're seeing is that the proliferation of SaaS is leading to companies focusing on platforms. Platforms are starting to do the things that the nice-to-have products once did. Platforms are the thing that's getting past the budget line. And what that means is there's now more competition. I think back, and these are all great products, I think to Outreach versus SalesLoft. Years ago, you could call those maybe more towards point solutions. Now they're clearly platforms. But those platforms aren't just competing with one another. It's also with Chorus and Gone. You see it with Clarity and Salesforce. Platforms are becoming hyper-competitive. So to get through the budget, you've got to be a platform. But guess what? As a platform, you've got more competition. So we're seeing it through extended sales cycles. A couple of years ago on Vendr, you could buy a product in 30 days. Now it's up to 46. And that's for a mid-sized company. So if your buyer's a mid-sized company, expect about 46. But if they're a larger company, 60. In the past few years, we've seen the sales cycle almost double to 60 days. I feel like I'm the bearer of bad news, by the way. We're going to turn that around. All right. Year of the price hike. What's going on with ACV, average contract value? Well, it is also going up. Why would that be? I would guess it's because as companies incur more costs and the funding environment is pretty tough right now, so what do? You have to control your costs or pass on your costs. We're predicting that this becomes the year of the price hike. already in the past 2 years, we've seen the ACV, and this is for Q1, it's up 30%, passing on the cost. But you gotta be careful. We know the saying, pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered. I think there's gonna be a lot of slaughtering this year if this is the tactic. If your tactic is raise prices out of desperation, you're in trouble. And the reason you're in trouble is because there's this pecking order of software when it comes to your customer's budget. So this report up here, this is Vendr's data on Vendr, on our platform. Where are all the dollars flowing? Well, 6 of every $100 on our platform, which is now $3 billion, goes to AWS. 5's going to Google. I think 3, is it say 3? LinkedIn, Datadog, NetSuite, Snowflake. Right? The biggest, the best, the stickiest software products in the world. These people eat first. So when times get tough for them, what do you think is going to happen? I think they're going to raise their prices. So while Gartner's saying, hey, don't worry, software budgets are going up, they're still climbing, I think all of those budgets are going to be consumed by these people. Because how many of us wake up one day and say, oh wow, you know, today's the day I'm getting off of AWS, or you know what, I just don't need Snowflake anymore. It's not going to happen. They control our destiny. So if I'm starting a company today, the first thing I'm doing is I'm watching what the big companies are doing before I consider changing my pricing. All right. So what do we do about this? Well, a vantage point that Vendr has is like we buy software. So what I want to do is now take you into the lens of how the buyers of your products are thinking about buying software, and then I'll give you some tips. My first tip is that contact sales button. No one likes that contact sales button. And I get it. We've created it because we believe if I can get someone to opt into my sales process, that I can control everything. I can control the qualification call, the demo. I can do value selling. Your customers really don't like it because they don't need it. What your customers actually expect from you is price transparency. They actually need to know what your products cost before they ever speak to you. It makes sense, it's reasonable. Yet we've forced, as an industry, we've forced people into opaque pricing so we get to dictate and control the sales process. Domino's guy, he likes the buy with Vendr button apparently. All right, the next thing your customers have already is the data. So I think about it like, if you're gonna buy a house, what do? You probably check prices in a neighborhood on Zillow. If you're booking travel, you're going to Kayak or Expedia. If you're gonna go to a new company, you're gonna check Blind or Glassdoor. Right? You want access to information so you can make the best possible decision. That is rational. It is reasonable. That should not be controversial. Yet in SaaS, what have we done? We've created this black box where we're like, I'm not going to tell you what others would pay for this, or I'm not going to tell you what the fair price actually is. Instead, I'm going to try to see what I could get you to pay. How does that pan out? People fight it. Of course they do. They just want to know the fair price. Well, we now have that data. That data is out there, so lean into that price. And it's not just the price. It's also the sentiment. It's also the strategies of how to get more value from your products. Customers are talking. This is a very good thing. It means we get to lean in to what they need without playing a game. And the last thing they're doing is they have a structured process. So typically procurement, it used to be a black box, it no longer is. They're standardized workflows. So every customer is buying the same exact way. You as a salesperson have a right to know what that workflow is. You can ask, what exactly is the next step in the workflow? What exactly, how quickly do you typically buy products like mine? Those are very fair questions to ask. So what we're ready for, we now have the data out in the wild. There's equal access to information. There's price symmetry or information symmetry. It means that we can actually start a movement towards standardization. Like, we've played this game unintentionally where we've got these negotiations going on. And that is coming from the person, by the way, who created a category called negotiation as a service. I don't think it needs to exist. It only exists because we haven't standardized. Let's change the market. And if you're starting a new company today, this is your opportunity. Don't opt into the game. Do the thing that is easier. Standardize, be fair, be consistent. So what that means, when I look into the future, I see a world where sales is without games, without poor connotations, where SaaS doesn't actually have to be negotiable. And that price, it can still be variable because different customers offer different levels of value to you as a business. That is okay. In order to pull that off, we just have to be consistent. So the data's out there, and that data does not just benefit the buyers of software. Buyers of software use the data to know what should I buy, what value could I expect, what roadblocks am I going to encounter. But that same data can also be used for sellers to help them build the best possible product, to know why they win, why they lose, the feature they're missing, how their sales team is interpreted from the buyers. All of that data helps you build the best possible product for your customers. So leaving here with that little slice of pizza, and I promise there's a reason for it. If you can do 3 things with your pricing and packaging, I would lean into these, because this is what your buyers expect today, and they already have this information. So it's time for us as sellers to lean into it and cut out the game. Be transparent with the price. Show them that it's fair. Be transparent with the process. Commit to being fair and fast. And fairness, it should not be controversial. Right? Fairness should be, it's deserving for all of your customers. Because if you can get that into their minds, they will stop playing the game and asking you for that discount if you can validate that you're transparent, fast, and fair. And in closing, the reason we have a slice of pizza up there is because we're going to be over in the networking tent. We've got Domino's coming, we think. We've already hit the dinner bell, but we'd love to hang out with you. Thank you so much for your time today. Take care.